Ezekiel! You know more about this Morlun than I do. I need your help.
I can't. I'm sorry, but it's too late. You're going to die, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Nothing.
Did you know that there exists a villain so brutal and unstoppable that even Spider-Man realized that the only way to stop him is to kill him? A man who makes Spider-Man look so weak that others thought the only way to win versus him is to avoid him? We watch Spider-Man swinging through the city, handling his daily missions and stopping common thieves, until, for the first time, he encounters a man just like him, someone with powers strikingly similar to his own. Not knowing what this man's true intentions are, Spider-Man decides to follow him and demand answers. But the stranger not only demonstrates powers equal to his own, but also reveals that he knows Spider-Man's secret identity and far more about his abilities than Peter ever imagined. He also challenges Peter to reconsider the origin of his powers. Was the radioactive spider bite really just a coincidence, or did the spider choose Peter?
What?
The question leaves Peter stunned, realizing he had never truly thought about it before. And with that, the man simply wishes him good night and leaves.
Who are you? Why are you coming to me with all of this?
As he leaps between the rooftops, he calls back to Peter, shouting that now is the time to understand the true nature of his powers, because that's the only way he'll survive what's coming. That's when we are transported to a pier, where a man named Dex is seen paying a guard to let him through. The guard accepts the money and grants him access to the pier, but as Dex returns to his ship, we hear him speaking to someone. And that's when a creature named Morlun reveals himself, thanking Dex. Dex removes the cover, revealing a frail German man chained to the wall, begging Morlun to stop. But Morlun only looks at him coldly and says it's time to end his agony, and with that, he kills him. The mysterious man Morlun, now looking revitalized, explains that he has just drained the life force of a German superhero. And that's when we discover the truth. Morlun is a villain who feeds on the life energy of totems, or simply beings who embody the powers of animals. The next day, Peter can't stop thinking about the mysterious man with powers like his own. We learn his name is Ezekiel, and Peter is still shaken by how much this stranger knows about him and his abilities. Meanwhile, Ezekiel is shown in a high-level meeting, making it clear he is a wealthy businessman running a powerful corporation. As the meeting ends, his unease doesn't go unnoticed. A woman approaches him and quietly asks if he made contact with Spider-Man yesterday. Ezekiel admits that he did. The woman responds coldly, warning that she hopes he knows what he's doing, because if he doesn't, they'll all be dead. Spider-Man swings through the city, but that's when Morlun and Dex notice him. Morlun unleashes his energy to test him, and that's when Spider-Man's senses go wild, and he realizes something.
What the heck was that? Spider sense went nuts, like nothing I've ever felt before.
Spider-Man looks down but sees no danger, even though his spider sense keeps screaming for him to hide, so he swings away. Meanwhile, Morlun tells Dex he pities Spider-Man for what's coming. In despair, Dex asks Morlun to kill him as well, but Morlun refuses, saying it isn't time yet, and that Dex's death will come soon enough too. A few days go by, and we catch up with Peter Parker at his new job as a high school science teacher. One afternoon, he heads to the principal's office, only to find Ezekiel waiting there. The principal explains that Ezekiel has made a massive donation to the school. Shocked and curious, Peter pulls Ezekiel aside. At a restaurant, Ezekiel wastes no time. He warns Peter once again that he's in danger. He explains the existence of totemistic powers on Earth and how Peter's abilities are tied to the spider. Ezekiel reveals that he himself gained his powers through an ancient ritual connected to the spider totem, granting him spider-like abilities. He goes on to explain that the world is built on a balance of life and death, and that throughout history, beings with such powers have always been hunted. And now he warns that it's Spider-Man's turn to face his predator.
They are used to hunting down your kind. They have done so for uncounted centuries.
Ezekiel instructs Peter to come with him to his workplace, and when they arrive at his office, He reveals a secret room made of solid steel with an adamantium core that cost him millions. Ezekiel explains that after hiring 6 private investigators and connecting the dots, he uncovered Peter's identity and built this room as a place for him to hide. He admits that he admires Peter and wonders if he himself could have done the same, using his powers to make the world a better place.
What I can do, though, is save you from Morlun.
He tells Peter that if he stays hidden here long enough, Morlun might not find him, but Peter instantly refuses, reminding him that he has classes to teach. Ezekiel warns him again that everyone who has ever faced Morlun has died, and that Peter's chances of survival are 0. But Peter once again tells him,
I've faced guys before who said they were going to kill me. He isn't the first, and he won't be the last. I'll deal with it.
Listen to me. You've never faced anything like this before. He will kill you, Peter.
But Peter ignores Ezekiel's warnings and leaves him, and that's when we see Morlun, already prepared to begin his hunt.
Help! Someone help!
A big fire strikes the city, and Peter begins saving people, but his spider sense suddenly goes wild again, and that's when...
I taste blood as I hit the car. Nothing's ever hit me that hard. Not the Hulk, not Thor, nobody. And for the first time, I don't have a wisecrack right at hand. Because nothing's funny anymore.
As Spider-Man looks up, he notices Morlun watching him without saying a word. Peter crashes into a building, and as he gets up, he tells Morlun that most of the guys he fights at least have some kind of speech to say. But he says nothing and tries to kill him.
So Sunshine, you got anything you want to tell?
Morlun explains that he has no special desire to see Peter dead and that it's nothing personal, just something he sadly has to do. He tells Peter that he never gets tired, never grows weaker, and that there is simply nothing Peter can do to stop him. But Peter doesn't listen to him, and punch after punch he tries to stop him.
I've hit him with everything I've got, but he keeps coming.
Spider-Man tries to reach the roof, realizing that Morlun might not have the ability to follow him there. But Morlun simply starts making dents in the building and begins climbing, as Peter realizes that Morlun doesn't even care about the civilians as long as he reaches him. So he tries to head toward a less populated area, telling himself that he needs more time to figure out how to beat this guy. He reminds himself that the man has no real abilities except for incredible strength, but as he thinks, Morlun catches up to him and grabs him hard, leaving Peter unable to use his web shooters until the last second. As they fall, Morlun tears a large piece of Peter's suit away, and the two of them crash down. A woman comes and tries to help Morlun, but he grabs her, and that's when Peter, already tired from the fight, still manages to save her and starts pummeling Morlun again. But Morlun rips a car from the street and nearly crushes a group of civilians.
Get up. Get on your feet. He's coming. Chest on fire. Ribs cracked. Maybe broken. Can't let him know. Can't.
Peter tries to drag Morlun farther from the civilians, telling himself how frighteningly different this fight is from all the others. Morlun doesn't taunt, doesn't talk. He only tries to kill. As Peter makes his escape, he realizes the man has no weaknesses. Desperate, he throws on a pile of civilian clothes, telling himself he just needs a second to catch his breath. But as he tries to walk away once again, Peter admits how exhausted he is, but when Morlun threatens the civilians, he still pushes himself to fight.
What did I do that I should die like this? No, you're not gonna die, Peter. You're Spider-Man. Act like it.
Peter manages to knock him into an apartment, but then notices gas pouring from the oven. Morlun picks up a match, strikes it, and triggers a massive explosion. Peter is blasted off his feet, but when he looks up, he sees Morlun completely unharmed. Panicked, Peter scrambles to escape. That's when Morlun's assistant Dex arrives. Morlun calmly asks for his clothes and remarks to Dex that there's something unusual about Spider-Man. And that's when we see Ezekiel looking out over the city. Peter, beaten beaten and exhausted, kicks the door open and begs Ezekiel for help. But Ezekiel tells him it's too late. Peter is going to die, and there's nothing he can do. He explains that once Morlun touches someone, he can track them anywhere, and that even his shelter won't protect Peter now. Desperate, Peter asks him to at least help fight Morlun, but Ezekiel refuses. He explains that if he gets too close, Morlun might sense his powers too, and absorb his energy.
I'm sorry, Pete. You're on your own.
Well, it won't be the first time.
Spider-Man swings away, realizing he can't abandon the city because Morlun will only keep destroying it to draw him back. And when Peter looks up, he sees Morlun already tearing it apart once again, while Ezekiel keeps thinking about Peter. Peter spots Morlun holding a child, and the sheer anger surging through him wipes away his exhaustion for a moment. Morlun drops the child, but Peter dives in and saves him with his fury boiling over as he charges straight at Morlun. But once again, Peter's helpless. He unleashes webs in huge amounts to slow Morlun and then retreats. And that's when we see him phoning his workplace, reporting that he's sick, and then...
I can hear the screams starting again even as I hung up the phone. And I know it's him drawing me out again. I'm tired. I've been fighting this guy for nearly 12 hours straight. I haven't had anything to eat or drink, and he's not even tired. But I am. I'm hurt, and I'm tired. And I want to go home, and I want to sleep, and I don't want to be here. And I think, can I let this one go? Can I let it be someone else's problem? Just for a minute, so I can rest? No, I can't. But I wish I could. God, but I wish I could.
The fight begins again as Peter, tired and broken, struggles to hold his own. But Morlun slams him into a building so hard that Peter, barely alive, escapes at the very last second. He staggers to a payphone, drops in a coin, and decides to call Aunt May. He tells her how much he loves her, and that whatever happens, he just wants her to know that. Then he sets the phone down and realizes, this is it.
I always knew that sooner or later I'd lose. It's math, you see. Statistics. No one wins forever. No one. Only things that matters is how you face it when the cards don't come up your way. And I'm not afraid. I'm tired, but I'm not afraid.
In his final effort, Peter grabs him, and Morlun begins to choke him, until Ezekiel shows up and tells Peter that he's changed his mind. Together they both start punching Morlun, but Morlun grabs Ezekiel and begins to drain his life force.
No! Let him go!
I'm sorry, Pete. I thought I could hold my own.
Morlun tells him that he's going to have a cappuccino to wash that down, then leaves, while Spider-Man dives into the water but doesn't find anyone there. And that's when Peter realizes Ezekiel managed to hit Morlun so hard that he bled. Quickly, he collects a sample and begins testing it. Later, he puts on another suit and heads to a nuclear power plant in New York. He triggers the alarm, and while everyone escapes, he waits for Morlun, clearly with some kind of plan. As Morlun approaches, we see Peter injecting himself with radioactive fluid. He admits this might kill him, but explains that turning his own blood into something toxic to Morlun is the only way to stop him. And that's when we realize why Morlun sensed something was wrong with Peter, because the bite from the radioactive spider had tainted the purity of his life force. Morlun walks in and sees Peter lying on the floor, thinking that Peter has sacrificed himself for him. But when he begins to drain his life force, Morlun drops him, and he sees his arm burning. Peter hammers him punch after punch, shouting the truth about the radioactive spider and how he finally realized that the radiation could be Morlun's weakness.
Every time I hit him, instead of my energy, he absorbs the radiation at the point of contact.
Morlun crashes into the wall and begins to beg for mercy, telling Peter that if he lets him go, he'll never try to pursue him again. But that's when Peter realizes that, for the first time in his life, he can't. Because if he does, Morlun might hunt others, and he may never be vulnerable again.
God in heaven, Peter, how far are you prepared to go?
As Peter contemplates what to do, we see Dex step out with a gun. He points it at Morlun and fires. Morlun begins to die, telling Peter that he was just hungry and there was nothing he could do. Finally, Dex drops the gun and runs, while the police storm the nuclear plant. Peter escapes too, but manages to catch up to Dex. Dex explains that Morlun hurt him badly, so Peter tells him to run, but warns that if he ever comes back, he'll hurt him even worse.
Hello, God. This is Peter Parker. Can I ask a favor? I know I've been your personal cat toy for the last few years, but can we not do that to me again for a while?
In the end, Peter decides to visit Ezekiel's workplace, but that's when we see Ezekiel in a car, telling a woman that they should go now because he has a lot of people to help.